Hey guys, Master Xeon here, and we are going to be doing part 2 of low poly, um, whatever, modeling. So, I got my default scene here. Go ahead and turn on my screencast keys. Since I have the translucent menus, it puts it over there now. I'll just go ahead and scoot that over to the middle. Just hide these panels. Um, so I guess we're going to make a bedroom is what I feel like making. So we'll look at bedroom images on Google. Just kind of, see what's in a bedroom. I can make you what's in my bedroom. But too much stuff. I like this one. We're not going to make this room per se, but yeah, just idea, lamp bed, bookshelves. It'll get us started. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is get rid of the animation panel. So since I've done my last couple of recordings, and the low poly one I did actually a while back, I've upgraded my graphics card to a GTX 580. In fact, it was so humongous that it couldn't fit my tower when I first got it, and after I found out I couldn't return it, I ended up dremeling my case, and now it actually fits. So that ends my GPU craze for getting with the generation, because I mean render times get kind of bad. In fact, it gets so bad that I just don't even want to deal with Blender sometimes. It's just bad, you don't want to spend your entire professional life waiting on test renders to come out just so you can go and revise this, revise that. I mean, of course, there's a bunch of efficient ways to go about it, but in the end, you're waiting on renders, and everything that you add to it, the better it looks, is another nail in the coffin. Or at least in my idea. So we'll just make a floor. So this main focus of this video is going to be the decimation tool. It's actually pretty nice in action. We might go ahead and put a bevel on it. So, and bevel's good for, them light catchers. I want to do a video just about how the bevel enhancements have changed my life. As silly as that sounds, it is dead serious. They've made some changes to it that just are phenomenal. So our geometry is pretty dense. We'll just add a decimate, and you'll see this a lot. Just immediately jump down to 0.2. Triangulate. We got 546 faces now. Which ones are missing? Who knows? But there we go. Now we have a floor. So the next thing is to add a bed. So we start off with a cube. As hold shift, press Z. Make it about that big, I guess. I'm just eyeballing it. But S, and then you press the axis and it'll constrain it to it. So that way you can scale it, exactly how you want. Just press Y, X, Z. It's good to know these things. I have to turn on some snapping with all my crazy scaling. Um, but that's nothing. Control Shift Tab, go to Vertex, GZ, and I'll snap it to there. Alright. And by holding Control, I can activate this temporarily. And then if I click the magnet, it activates it all the time, which can be annoying with Vertex Snap. And here's an example of beveling. But I don't like the results of that. We'll just add a bunch of loop cuts. The thing I like about this style of modeling is that you can kind of just actually just lose it with it. And you'll see what I mean here in a minute. Like, actually, on second thought, there's rails under normal beds, You can actually just lose it with this style. So I don't want to say too much and, mess up and have to remove the audio and just make a time lapse. So these two things, we're just going to merge them together. And is my operator showing? Yeah, I don't show an operator. Alright, we'll just decimate this. 0.2. Might as well remove that. And as you see, the decimate just simplifies it more and more until it's nothing. So I think I actually like that result a little better. And then I'll go back and decimate it, just get weird with it. Because there's not enough polys to, finish your computer off. We start turning on wire for this and we start seeing our ugly triangulated scene. But whenever we set up the materials to be a little faceted, it'll get more interesting. So we want to put a blanket on it. Just throw in a plane, go on top view, scale it up on the X, bunch of loops, and turn on proportional. There you go. It's a blanket about to attack. Alright, so go over here, cloth, change this to silk. We'll leave that where it's at. It's already, I was about to cut it in half anyways. Put on collision here. Alright, but that's not good enough. So we subdivide. Let's see if that's good enough. Not good enough. Subdivide. Oh, look at it choking now. You know what, blanket, just get on there. Since I'm stuck in this view and I don't want to press the escape button and cancel, I'll just turn the outliner into a timeline. That might work. And can I do it in time? Pause it so I can just run through it, apply this, and just go on. Maybe. Alright. So if we look at it reverse, it attacks. So I think about there it looks alright. So we'll apply that and bring it back up. We'll maybe add one more subdivide, re-add the cloth, and try this again. The cloth, I think, a little underappreciated. It's slow, but you work those settings right, and you might just get some results that look the way that you want. And I'm not talking about these results. However, I can live with that because in the end it doesn't matter because we can add a decimate, and if we change it to unsubdivide and enable the wire showing, all axes show their wire. All edges. We could run this through a couple of cycles of removing sub D, and I think after 2 it still holds up. However, I want to actually put this on and just take it down like that. So there's our blanket so far, except I hastily allowed that to get applied. I would actually want to take this portion and extrude it after growing the selection with Control Plus, then apply it, and then maybe Alt J. Let's see, that turned most of them into quads. I don't really care too much right now if they're quads or not. Alright, so now we have a bed on the floor. We'll just drop a circle, scale it out. That's kind of big for a, there we go. Side view, we see that they're still not correct. Hold Control to select with the lasso, decimate, 0.2. You know, and all we want is for it to just have facets. That's the goal, is to model the stuff to look pretty good in form, but, you know, just be faceted. And so if we look at our scene so far, it's kind of depressing. You know, it's a bed with no pillow. So let's make a pillow. S and Z, top view S and X, and we'll just, you know, add some loop cuts, select this puppy and smooth, press it a couple of times, and we'll just make some fake creases. Those are not creases. I mean, those are not what I was going for. Those are like spider legs. Alright. S and Z. Alright, it's kind of a strange pillow. We'll just, you know, when in doubt, smooth a little bit. I actually made the ones earlier a lot differently, but for this, I'm trying to make it pretty fast. And we'll just take this from layer 3 and move it to layer 2. You know, strange pillows to not have pillowcases. I assure you my pillows have pillowcases. We'll move the origin here with Control Alt Shift C after, you know, moving the origin there, so that way I could move the pillow in position and scale it to the right size. And make a second one. So, you know, there's our bed. Alright, what else do we need? I guess a headrest. So, let's just make something random. Using circles or something. Alright. Alright, let's hope this works out. It's kind of a strange bed rest. It's like sacrificial or something. So, don't want to dwell too long on this stuff. So, alright, that thing needs to be smooth. There. We'll delete this point and just do a little bit of work to make it not look so Alice in Wonderlandy with the swirl on the floral. Alright, and there's our curve. And to make it solid, you just drop in a Bezier circle. Go over here, it says the object, and now I can just scale it down. And that'll work out okay, even though it's kind of weird. Make another one. That didn't work. Make another one. RZ90. Do it twice. We'll merge the curves, so that way I just have to press Control-Alt-Shift-C once, or wait, maybe it's Alt-C. Yeah, there we go. Alt-C lets us convert a mesh into a curve, or a curve into a mesh. I think you can do it both ways. Alright, so everything's together, one happy family. For us to just go in, decimate, and we'll just play the game, see what it looked like at point 2. You know what, point 2 didn't do enough. Less than that. Actually, here's the problem. These have significantly more geometry, so the majority of his decimation efforts are going on this item. For this, we want to unsubdivide it first, and hit it once, twice, maybe that many times? Nah. We'll give it its dignity, let it go out like that. And that's how you simplify a curve, because the curve actually lets you change the resolution on the U, but not on the V, I think is the names of it. But I could be wrong. So we start bringing this back out a little bit. And we have our Beetlejuice style headrest. We'll turn on wire. So this layout is one of the ones I think I found in Blender. So it's nothing fancy. It's just pink. And we'll just drag this to the end. And we'll duplicate it, drag it forward over here. And then take it in local mode by pressing /LL Control I. Bring this down. And now we take this edge loop and this one, hide it. L, delete it because it doesn't even have a purpose if it's not seen. Lower these down, we'll just select these and just try to throw them in here, and nobody will be none the wiser. Maybe add an edge loop, you know. Like I originally had a bunch of stuff planned to, mention, but I don't feel like it. Like, I haven't even been doing that many videos lately, trying to avoid the tutorial industrial complex. But now I'm back. Don't get me wrong, I still love 3D software. Use it every day. Alright, so there's the bed. Not pleased with it, but you know, the room also, I'm not pleased with it, but it's also empty. So we'll add a plane, extrude it up, extrude it down. Sorry about that, my mistake. Don't want to get your planes all in a bunch. Alright, so we added some loop cuts. And as you were guessing bookcase, you were right. If you weren't guessing, fine. So we'll press I to inset, extrude this. They're not the same size. And to make it a little easier to deal with, we will cut that selection off. And we'll delete this one's faces. Now we have a cap, so we can array all day. Alright, we'll put the 3D cursor in the center, press period to scale from it. And that'll allow us to choose how big we want our bookshelf to be. In order to know how big we want it to be, we probably need to make a book. What does a book look like? Well, I'm just going to assume that right here it was beveled and then rounded, with this part inset extruded. And I'll ask y'all, do that do that look like a book? Just kidding. Does this look like a book? And the answer is yes. Sorry, broke into ebonics there. Alright, continuing on. So now I'm scaling down this book. Put the 3D cursor back in the center. There you go. But, you know, we need to focus on this book for a minute and make a mini books. We'll make another book. And for this one, we will take this and drag it down a little bit. You know, this one is a series, you know, and this one may be the teacher's guide because there's two of them. And let's see, this book's also slightly bigger. We'll bring this one over, rotate it. Alright, and then, you know, for people that really want to know stuff, they have their encyclopedias. So, you know, that's a big book. And we'll make, you know, a series. You know, thank you for getting our dictionaries. And we'll give it a little stack of compendiums for the person that just can't get enough. Sorry if I sound like I'm rambling, you know. What else do you talk about when you're modeling books? And that's a good example right there of, you know, how I would use the bevel to make something. In fact, since the geometry on these doesn't matter so much, well, it kind of does because texturing, right? Like we still have to go through and texture all of this stuff. So we can't apply any decimates like on the blanket. The blanket can be just a placeholder because I always said I wasn't pleased with it. No one ever liked that blanket. And we'll set those on top. You know, no one's reading those encyclopedias anytime soon. And select, unselect, drag it forward. One more level. You know, that's enough books for these people. They're not really that big of readers. These are more for the guests. Alright, so Control MX does not work for mirror anymore, but SX -1 does a good enough job of reversing them. Someone stole this book, and if we put our 3D cursor there, press period, we can rotate over like that, then select these two and just push them to the end. You know, our shells don't have to look the same. We should import some random objects and throw them in here. Then that really add to the room. You know, I don't have any this many books up high. They're short people. Maybe a couple extra ones. But now we have this that we can apply, go back, hit merge, then apply, then take this, join it, W, remove doubles, and that, now everything fits. So there's that. Put a couple loop cuts, add a bevel, and I always hold shift when I pull it down because I like to see it just really just come in, and you can tell pretty fast which settings work well for you. Like, it's a bookshelf, but it's as thick as a filing cabinet, she said. So we'll scale this down. Is that like a bookshelf? I actually don't have a bookshelf in my room. Alright, snap the cursor, select all the books, and scale this up to fit. So I'm going to do something I don't think is a good idea, but I think I can undo it later because Blender's getting better at letting me undo my own mistakes. So we'll make the books one object, so that way we can decimate. 0.2, triangulate, we'll bring them back up, we need that faceting, and maybe even add a triangulate modifier underneath it. There we go. And if we look at the wires on top, That's what it looks like. For this, we'll apply to bevel, bring out the decimate, and start dragging it till right before it looks weird. So right there about. And so my goal is to have it have these like unusual shapes to it, you know. That was originally going to be the sheet object. In fact, we'll put that back for now. Go ahead and just move that to layer 3. Go to layer 3 and move it to layer 0, and then go back to layer 2 and see what else we can add in our bedroom. So we have this bookshelf, except I think I want a smaller one I could put on the wall. So the easiest way to do that is to cut that off, L to take this piece, duplicate, P to cut it out, hide that, and we'll select this piece, bring it down, Control M, Z, it didn't work, SC, -1, and by removing the doubles, now it all fits seamlessly. And we'll select these middle row of books, duplicate it, move it up 1 tier, select this, and move it over. And when things are overlapping, you know, it's kind of lucky selection. So, you know, sometimes you get lucky and you actually grab the thing you want to see. Alright, so what's our room missing besides walls, a window, and the things that would connect it? So we bring in a plane, select this edge, G, Y, and we'll snap it here by holding Control. We'll grab this one, G, X to constrain, and snap it up here. Let's try it again. GX, and we'll snap it up here again. Bring these walls up. It'll just be as many walls as needed for now. Need to wall basis, alright. GX, and make that fit. Grab this, GY. I just like my edges to match. Alright, so for this room, we want it to have a ceiling fan. Ceiling fans are actually pretty fun to make. Delete whatever's left here. So we'll start out, I'll just look up at mine. Alright, my ceiling fan's nothing to shake a stick at, even though I probably need to shake a dust buster at it. We'll scale it down, scale it in, like so. Get off this 3D cursor, we don't need it. Scale it in. Extrude it, scale it in, bring it down. And that looks like my enclosure. We'll just duplicate this so I don't have to add another one. And we'll just extrude that out, scale it in, extrude another piece out, extrude, scale it in place. Duplicate this one. Let's bring it inside. These will be the bulbs, and we'll apply a material for it later, but just having the object here and not applying the decimate will make it a lot easier to select, as I found in my first project with this. We look at it from the bottom, and if I choose spin, duplicate 5, change this to 360, we see that doesn't even match up, we'll snap the cursor there, try the same move again, and now it fits. So we'll delete all that. And so now we just have this area here to deal with. How to deal with it? First we'll hit extrude individual, right click in place, change it to individual origin, scale it in, and then Alt S to bring it up, delete the faces, and that's also a part of my fan. The next thing is to make the blade itself, or the rotary part. For that, this part kind of comes down like that or something, and we'll just say that this is the piece we need. Shift H to hide everything. Look at it from the top, go down like so, and GG edge slide, GG edge slide. ESY. Oh wait, turn it off individual origins, medium point SY. We'll hide this portion so we can extrude that out, flip it a little bit, inset just slightly so we can take this part and also pull it forward. And that's pretty much all it takes for the assembly of the ceiling fan. We hit spin here, delete the original. And there we go. Hit decimate on this puppy. 0.2. And move this to layer 1. Go to move it to layer 2. And we'll just put it up at the where I feel the roof should be. G, Z, snap. Give it a humongous fan. Without windows, it's certainly feeling like a prison. So we'll duplicate, move it over, E, Y, grab this face, bring it in, select the face that it was created from, bring it up and snap to here. And if I want to, I could just go in local mode and have my way with this. So first thing I want to do is probably add a bevel, and then scale this in so I can put a loop cut in the middle and scale it in. Alright, so things are definitely beginning to look up for this, except this person doesn't have a nightstand. So start with a plane, extrude it up, and we'll just drag it back down. Select a face, duplicate, scale in place on the X. Alright, so we'll just put 4 cuts here, scale on the X, Scale, add 2 more, scale those on the Y. Grab these 2 faces. And after changing the origin to be this, we could press E, Z, 0. Wait, G, Z, 0. G, Z, 0. Wait, S, Z, 0. My mistake. Ha. And if we scale those on a normal, put Alt S, G, S, Z, 0, then we'll scale them back to the right amount. So those are some pretty good looking dresser drawers, even though the whole thing could use a bevel. And we'll put in a UV sphere, 24, 24, look at me, scale it down. EY, GY, and we'll snap it to this. Select the invert, because that's not what I meant. I want our knob to only be about that far out and about that small. So D, duplicate, Shift R to repeat. And we have a pretty nice little dresser that we can then put a decimate on, leave it like that, leave it pretty cattywampus, move it to layer 2. Let's turn on the wire, see what we got. Just removes those feet. You know, this bookshelf is not in a good place. They want to stand on their bed to get books. And they're not going to see very much at night without a lamp. So, we add in a circle. Whoever enhanced Blender to make it now remember the parameters of the last circles and the last objects and the preceding ones that you'll make after making one, God bless you. It's one of the small things that I noticed recently that is pretty handy, among many, many, many other improvements that has been happening with the more recent versions. We'll just Alt F, fill it with tries. Scale this out. Alright, and we'll just duplicate this in order to make the shade. L, E, S, Z. You know, if you know, you're not into low poly, I think this is a darn good video about how to make household items, don't you think? Now we'll snap our 3D cursor here, select this, go into top view, spin, maybe raise it to something like that, delete those verts, and in that same location we'll add a torus. There. I don't think this device actually works, so we'll duplicate it, separate it, go back in here, and now bring this item down, geometry, set the origin point, and we'll just scale it to fit. H. We'll select all of these. And just bring them all down there. In fact, we'll just delete this object. I didn't build it earlier. Don't need to change up the formula now. Sorry about that. Lost focus. Alright. So I'm just putting a couple of protection loops in here, because when we decimate, the other edges will be long disintegrated long before it gets through there. Alright. And we'll just turn on wires so we keep looking at this ugly triangulated geometry. You could buy this lamp too. Have it in your home for only $15,999. Alright. Now that it's no longer floating in space, we have a pretty nice low poly bedroom coming together here, except the wall. I don't like that the wall has no trim. How do you give it trim? We'll duplicate, P, separate. Look at this thing personally, and start off. Well, here's an interesting way. We'll put a loop cut here, take this, assign a new group, add a solidify, choose even thickness, make it come the other way, choose the group, invert, and then lower the factor. And there. Now we have a little bevel at the top. Alright, so 48 minutes into this, that you've lost of your lives watching me. So we'll select all this stuff, so we can select the opposite. And this person decided he wants to be closer to the window. And that way we can make room right here by taking this edge, extruding on the X, and then bringing it out like so, separating it, going here, we'll scale it down, scale it up, add about 5 loop cuts, LL, Control B, L, Control B, and now we have a little closet. So now to just put some handles on the doors, put in a plane, line of view, SX, not 1 cut, 3 cuts. Control B. We'll just tell it to ignore these. How's that? And those. We'll bring it out. Scale it in. Scale it on the Z. Not the prettiest handles. They'll do. This thing needs to be decimated. Alright, so a chair. You know, I need a chair. Video's getting pretty long, so I was going to cut it short and make this a two-part tour. Well, you know, a time lapse, I would already be done. But I thought I'd come out and talk to you guys. Alright, nothing fancy to a chair. I'm not the best chair modeler. But you gotta just jump in, you know, try it. S and Y. Alright, that's a pretty nice looking leg, I guess. I'm going with this darted leg look today. Duplicate on the Y. Go over here, duplicate, move on the X. Now I could use the mirror for a lot, but don't want to deal with the mirror, especially in a situation where I'll have to. Maybe I should hit smooth. Hit smooth one more time, don't tell anybody I hit smooth. Then go to decimate. Bring it down to a 0.2, maybe bring it down to a 0.159 on the Price is Right, and that'll work. And we'll move that to layer 2. This is a tall chair. Shouldn't have put all these loops in the legs. I know. Should have thought about it. But, you know, modeling is kind of like playing a song for me. I can't even play the piano, but if a song was able to be played using Blender shortcuts, you know, it's DDR style, I think I would be a top scorer. It's penetrating the bed. You know, this kind of person seems like they would look out the back. Maybe. Maybe they're just watching people sleep. That's their thing. So part of the charm is the fact that everything shows its wires, right? So let's make a rug in the laziest way possible by splitting this, splitting that, scaling it in on the X, Alt F, scaling that on the X. We'll put the cursor here, Control Alt Shift, origin to 3D cursor, plow this mug with decimate, ooh, unplow it with that. Alright, move this 3D cursor, a little strictness up here, decimate, 0.2, triangulate. And this thing was already all tried out, so enter the room of whoever lives here. But I saw there's a rug on the floor in this one. You know, curtains would be fun too. For a curtain. Actually, we'll go to the layer and just make it to fit. We want the curtain to be right here so the sunlight comes in, but this can be showing a little activity. So the first thing is we need it to fall. G, X, hold control, snap it there. Down boy, get off the wall. Alright, now we got it where we want it to be. We'll put it here, add a loop cut, pull that down, add a loop cut, pull that, pull it here, and there's our initial sheet look. Whenever it comes to cloth simulation, I usually spend the most of my time trying to come up with accurate ways of cloth simming pointy hats and whatnot. And continuing on, we'll add the cloth modifier, cloth under physics, to make it pin the group because the group's weight painting looks like this. And if we go all the way to frame 1 and play it, but this thing doesn't have collision. And we'll subdivide it once, subdivide it twice, and I can't look anymore. Alright, let's see if we can farm some results out of our cloth. Well, right here, we'll hide that. We'll take these, because I want it to be wavy. You know, so we gotta pull that out. But, you know, too smooth and it looks like a radiator. Alright, now we bring this and we see that maybe it's a little long now, so put 3D cursor there, we'll scale it up. And now I'll go all the way back to the beginning and Alt A. Does that look good to you? No. Does that look good to anyone? Probably not. Edge loop, edge loop, edge loop, edge loop, edge loop, edge loop. We'll just delete those. We will make those back part of the group though. Alright, I'm going for a certain type of wave here, but you know, this thing's really not working with me. But we will figure it out. Alright, it's not doing a whole lot here. So I think right here, it probably looked the best. So we'll take that. We'll put a subsurf, and we'll say no. Do it again. Sorry, didn't mean to drop the cloth on y'all. Alright, go back to the beginning. We say cloth it again. But now this part isn't showing enough wrinkles, you know? And then, you know, maybe we gotta subdivide this thing just to really get those wrinkles to come in the way I'm wanting to see it, triangulated and distorted and horribly decimated. But we'll get there. Pause it, review it. You know, it's hardly improvement. Hardly. Oh yeah, I can't hit smooth. I can only turn on wire, cry, and then hit decimate, 0.2. And they still want to show me that much density. And they still want to show me that much density. I'm going to apply to solidify and then go ahead and apply that. Because for the curtain, it's just going to be a little problematic having that sort of information in the memory. But nothing's holding this. Nothing is holding it. So now to fix that, I'm trying to think, what else is missing here? You know, there's electrical outlets. What else? What else? Maybe just a regular wooden chair. You know, I got these chairs in my room that look like this. Oh, this proportional editing drives me crazy whenever I forget that it's on. I don't know if that ever happens to you guys, like you're modeling and you keep duplicating something and you just can't rotate it because the proportional editing will modify something at the fall off of 0 if it's, you know, a double. And that's pretty much what a duplicate is if you keep it in place. Alright, and so for this I'm actually just, you know, free modeling a chair in my room. But my goal lately has been to build tons of these little assets, like all this stuff. I absolutely hate building minute stuff. I love coming in, building a cyborg mech or something, just, something brilliant. But when it comes to all this kind of stuff, it's like, I don't know. I guess I'd consider it grunt work, even though I'm a grunt, a 3D grunt. But, nobody wants to go in and do it multiple times. And I've been working real hard on modifying my workflow to have more reusable stuff and not, captured in blend files randomly like you often see. If you don't name it, you'll never link that object. At least I don't. And I think there are things that often are mistaken for granted is the power that can be utilized from linking and having a library of pre-built assets. Same with materials. But who am I to talk workflow? Like, I actually have a horrible directory structure, especially when it comes to projects, but it's getting better. Alright, and so that's the chair that lives in my room that everybody likes. Or nobody likes it, maybe. Maybe I'm the only person that likes it. I like it. It's a pretty nice chair. Even though the bars aren't so close together on it, I think it looks better like this. We just want to do it till it starts to lose its shape. It's kind of a strange place to put a chair, but my chairs are always random places because I push them out of the way to get places in my room when no one else is around. Otherwise, they're occupied. Alright, so this is the room so far. And I think it actually doesn't look too bad. We'll just call this LP room tut 1. But before I go, let's just make a couple of cycles renders just to show off my graphics card. So the first thing I want to do is go here, add a plane, align it to view. And since it's looking about this point, we'll go ahead and just put a camera in the scene. As well as a roof, so we'll EY snap to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, F. Select this face, P by selection. We'll duplicate this, and then SZ -1. Control N to flip the normals, GZ, bring it up. And here's what we got so far. So for this, we want to change it to be a display type of wire. Draw all edges so it's known to be present. And let's look at its normals. Normals are all pointing in the room. So for rooms that are illuminated from the outside, you want a portal light in the window instead of relying on the sun to get through. Is something that I've heard a bit about online. And for this, we'll just call this window light. And for everything else, there's MasterCard. Alright, so we'll select this. We'll just call this base mat. Control I, go back on this. Control L, materials. Now everything has the same material except for that. And if I render it out, this is what it looks like. So it's like the room of the infinite, you know, like darkness is coming. I mean, angels of light are coming. But if we were to just go in and under ray visibility, turn off camera, then it at least won't show it, and we can replace that with something else from the outside world. In fact, now I actually want to move it back some, so maybe it's not so dominating. And then let's look at where our camera is located. So this is where our camera is at, which means if I want to protect it from the outside, I'm going to have to build it some sort of box. But instead, what I'm going to do, besides checking transparent and then maybe just giving it back, is go under my world settings. I actually have a pretty freaky world setup, so we're just going to change that to just background and lower this down to be black. So the only light being casted in the scene comes from this plane on the side. But under its light settings, we need to... Alright, that's already all set up. Alright, we'll let it grind for a moment, just see what some of these renders are looking like. So for the lighting, I actually want to try to do a decent lighting job on this instead of just having it lit from some ambient source. Maybe just have some complex lighting to try to make it tell a story. And I guess we'll figure out that story as we go along with this. So I'll just play with some nodes for a minute. We'll input a color. And we'll modulate these colors using a layer weight. This is one of my favorite ways of dealing with materials in Blender. As far as blending them, is just use a layer weight. And see, by adjusting the two colors, we're able to mix between two different ones. So now the opposing faces have this tint of yellow. But if I add a color ramp, raise this to 0.2, so now I have some play here. We'll just desaturate that a little bit. We'll add another mix. This one, we're going to mix using the Fresnel values. And I just play with this, doing endless combinations until I find something that is worth memorizing or making a group or... See, the Fresnel adds blue in some unusual places, so we'll go back to facing. And so this is all just with the materials. I haven't done anything, you know, with the properties of them. In fact, it's almost confusing as far as what look I'm going for here, since suddenly it starts looking a little bit more pleasing in a different way than my intended goal was, but still alright nonetheless. Let's put in a ambient occlusion shader and see what we got here. And this is something we want to give back to the picture. In fact, if we plug our color into it, that's a pretty nice quick render there. But we'll just add that to it. And it certainly slows down a bit, doesn't it? Let's just see what picture I can come up with for the final result. Put in a glossy shader and let's see what we're looking at on the render. Roughness of 2, roughness of 1, roughness of 0. Wow. Let's see what this looks like. What color? No. Let's change it to sharp. And then after that, it doesn't matter what color we raise it to. And we'll move the shader here. Mix between the two. Check out our result. Way too strong. So how much shine do we want? Where do we want it? We only want it on the rim, facing away. And we want far less of it in the scene than that. That's a lot of this sharp spec. So we'll push them blacks out and bring out the whites to meet them. Under sampling, I'm going to turn the review renders to 0, so it just renders perpetually. And this is actually where I'll leave off with part 1 of this video. And check out the wire, and then just check out the scene. And I'll leave it rendering for a minute. And like I said, that concludes this video. So I'll be making a part 2 of this, where we'll just build some more stuff, maybe tinker around with some more. But this is all part of this whole low poly mess I've been obsessed with lately. So Blenderheads, see you soon.